So, ladies and gentlemen, The Last of Us Episode 2 has just dropped on HBO. Let's talk about it. I did a live reaction to my episode, so go and check that out if you haven't already. It was just like moments from the episode, my live reaction to it, a little bit of thoughts at the end. Pretty cool. It was like everything I was feeling hot off the bat the minute the episode wrapped. And like I say, we'll dive into some of the more nitty gritty details of this episode. And I like doing these little behind the scenes. I like to do my little watch alongs, and then I like to do the behind the scenes stuff. So that way you get like an intimate reaction straight away as we're watching the episode, and then you get to see my sort of winding down details of the little bits and pieces that we got to see, as well as some of what the Twitter sphere is saying. I follow the amazing team over at IGN. They do lots of cool, like, behind the scenes coverage of like all these types of shows, game related products and stuff. So they're a massive YouTube channel, have been now for decades, and I've been following them for a long time. So I do appreciate those guys, and they include lots of cool stats and figures for the episodes and the shows, and little details, little secrets, little behind the scenes stuff that we don't really get to see as the normal members of the public. Obviously, they got connections, so that's kind of cool. So I'll reference some of their images, and obviously I've given them credit here and now, so you guys know where I got their sources from. But this episode compared to episode 1. Episode 1, it was a masterpiece. It was a beautiful masterpiece. It was high octane, interest, intrigue, a bit of horror, a bit of sadness, a bit of emotional roller coaster. It was really amazing to see actors like Marlene from the game reprise her role in the show for live action. Great to see diverse casting. Nico Parker doing an amazing role with Sarah's character. The amazing actor, still don't know his name, but the amazing actor who portrays Tommy absolutely crushed it the short time he was on screen in episode 1. And this episode, we focus differently. Instead of a wider cast, we focus and hone in on the few specific characters of the episode, which it literally is Ellie, Joel, and Tess. We do get a little bit of a sidebar in the introduction. We get to see another harrowing, scary, scientific, sort of realistic horror of a doctor in a foreign country being escorted by her military from a cafe to a science facility where she's to perform an autopsy on a corpse that has a bite on its ankle. And I believe it's a woman. It's the corpse of a woman who's been bitten. And she cuts open it, and it's gross and graphic, and it's horrible. But you see this fungal infection inside of her, and they're really touching upon that sort of horror element of the fungal infection. And we see some great parallels from the show and the game, which I love to see more of. But yeah, seeing that woman's like fungal infection inside of her body, and the way like the tendrils like get pulled out of the mouth, it's disgusting and it's terrifying, and it's so good and so scary at the same time. Good little stingers to intro the episodes. And it was obviously the military wanted her professional help about what should we do for a vaccine, a medicine, what should we do, and she literally gave her best scientific opinion and just said, you have to essentially just nuke everywhere. You have to bomb everywhere. You have to napalm, destroy, whatever it is, detonate bombs around the city, just eradicate any and all possible ways of this virus spreading, because otherwise it's game over for us. And we clearly found out that they didn't listen to that scientist. She just wanted to go home and be with her family, but they didn't listen to her, and obviously the virus spread. And then we go from 2003, which the intro takes place, to then the present day of 2023, where we see Ellie waking up on the floor of the broken down skyscrapers we saw them walking into at the end of the first episode. Now, at the end of the first episode, Ellie is tested positive for carrying the infection. Obviously, we know because of the game, and we know in the story, it develops more in this episode, that Ellie is 100% immune. Joel and Tess are obviously questionable to that. They're a little bit anxious about her immunity, but it is true. It's abundantly clear by the end of the episode that Ellie is not messing around. Her immunity is there. Tess makes a great point in the episode where she does explain about her not being immune to being ripped apart, but she's definitely immune to this virus. So bites, scratches, infections aren't going to cause a problem for Ellie, but she does need protection. She needs to learn to defend herself, and she needs to learn to let Joel as well help protect her, because she isn't immune from being torn apart by the infected. So Tess makes a good point in that. And this is a really good farewell for Tess. This is a really important one for Tess because we know Tess from the game doesn't have a long story arc. And it's done in a dark and beautiful way. Like most things in the world of The Last of Us. It's an odd turn of phrase that you're going to hear me use in each of these episodes. But we see Tess's almost determination to get Ellie to the checkpoint. And we don't get the tower. We don't get the tower and the skyscraper mission. We have jumped that and we skip past that to spend more time in the World War sort of history museum area. I love the skyscraper bit of the game. Really do like that. It is dark all the time though, so I understand probably why they skipped that for the show and just jump straight to the museum, which is set in the daylight. So I get that. They also explain about the hive mind effect of how these fungal things are underground and they send signals to the infected, and if one gets stepped on a mile away, all the infected could run to that area. Things like that makes it a little bit more intense, a little bit more scary detail that we don't get to see in the game. But I liked it. I liked that detail. I thought that was really cool. The set design in this one was phenomenal. Obviously, I understand it's a lot of virtual effects and green screens and stuff. But what the characters are interacting with, the sandbags and the walls and the paths and the highways they're all stepping over, it's beautifully done and really, really talented creators. Whether it's digital or practical effects, great quality in the sets and believable. I think this is a destroyed city of Boston. I really believe it's an apocalypse place. And we got a little giraffe Easter egg. Now, if you played the Last of Us video game, the little giraffe Easter egg teddy bear pops up a few times, and he can be seen in the episode, casted beautifully. And his actor is portraying the giraffe Easter egg in a great way by just lying down amongst the shrubble and the rubble and all that stuff, hiding under the cars. And nice little reference there for the Easter eggs hunters out there of us who played the games and obviously like picking up those Easter eggs, like the DVD from the first game, Sarah's t-shirt, her birthday card, the watch and all that stuff. So it's nice to see Neil and the writers working together, still slipping in Easter eggs as if it is a video game. And there were moments from this where Joel's fighting the infected in the museum and the way he's reloading his revolver. We've all relate to that stress. We all know that panic of being low on rounds when the clickers are about and we haven't got any shivs. So that's quite fun. To see Joel's recoil control of the M4 not being as good as it should be. Maybe that'll improve as the show goes on. That'd be interesting to see. The way he interacts with his bag to pull bandages out to tape up himself and Ellie and Tess. Really cool little interactions like that are really amazing. And it's so cool to see that the video game, obviously the source material of the video game, is still being impacted from the show's release. In the next slide, which is from IGN, there is an amazing bit of information that I can't wait to share with you guys. It is just so fun to see. But especially me being a nerd, The Last of Us sales have risen 322% after the HBO series premieres. So since the premiere of the show, copies of The Last of Us 1 and the most recent version, Part 1, is for the PlayStation 5. And we're going to get a PC release sometime in February or March, I believe it is. 322% of sales have increased, which is just fantastic. It's great to see the game that was the spawn material for it getting that love and that praise and that attention it deserves by really hammering home the fact that this is the game. This is a game made into a live action, and it's been done the best. I've not seen a film or a series adaptation of a video game concept be performed so beautifully, executed so amazingly. This is only the second episode of what I hope is a really long season 1. There's rumours about The Last of Us Season 2. Will that be Part 2? I hope not. I don't know. I'd really love it if the show just focused on the first game. There's so much controversy surrounding The Last of Us Part 2 and lots of mixed emotions. I think it's going to just be a really hard one to do the people-pleasing. It's going to be a difficult thing. We can all agree, all Last of Us fans can agree. As much as we can't agree on The Last of Us Part 2, we can all agree The Last of Us 1 is a masterpiece. And it's great to see it being honoured in such a beautifully brilliant way with these comparisons from the latest game and the episodes that release. I love coming on Twitter every week, seeing IGN and other creators post pictures from the episodes and the game side by side, just so you can really see that beautiful parallel, like the clickers in the game versus the clickers in the episode. Fantastically done. And the infected as well. It's such a good attention to detail, even all the way down to the architecture of the buildings. It's a great series, and it's been done masterfully in a beautiful way, and they do take their own liberties, like when Tess kind of lips up a zombie. Hey yo, that's a bit sus. I don't understand why that happened, but hey yo, that's the creative direction. And even if you zoom in close onto her eyeball, wall there, you can start to see the reflection of the fungus and also the microbes of like the fungal infections going up to a cordyceps, I think it's called. The scientific terminology is just a brain boggler for me, but I do enjoy the science, leaning into the science horror, the realism horror of the fungal infection, and seeing the zombie lips Tess in that way was kind of a bit sus. But the way Tess goes out is very similar to the game. Obviously in the game she has been bitten, she goes down swinging in a bit of a firefight against some raiders, I guess you would say the bad guys. But in this one, the zombies are all coming. They're all coming. They allude to it earlier on in the episode. All the zombies are coming to the Capitol building it is, and Tess pretty much just begs Joel to take Ellie and go. Just take her and go. You need to get out of here. I'll do my bit. You do yours. So she kind of gives her final speech to Joel. Doesn't really get to say goodbye to Ellie, but then she just primes herself with grenades and petrol and gas and all that stuff, and she gets a lighter out, and eventually it's broken, but eventually she sets light to it, drops it, boom, Capitol building ends, Joel and Ellie escape, and then it cuts to black. And it's pretty crazy, pretty intense. But a great episode, great acting work from the lady who portrays Tess in the show. I was torn at first about the portrayal of Tess, but that actor crushed it. Even though you get people like Nico who plays Sarah for so short periods of time, and the lady who plays Tess who played her for such a short period of time, you know, only 1 or 2 episodes for certain characters, but I think that masterfully shows you just how good the acting is on the show, that they can come and have maybe 1 episode or 2 episodes, you know, and they can give such a deep-rooted impact on the audience. Like, people really loved Sarah on the show, people really loved Tess on the show, and it's polarizing to see fans of the show and people who've not necessarily played the games reacting in such a way where they're freaked out, like, oh my god, Tess is dead in episode 2, what the hell, no one's safe. Like, it's cool to see that side of people's reactions, to people who don't know what's going to happen. Like, if you played the game like I have for over a decade now, and you played it a lot of times over on all the different PlayStation platforms, you know the story, you know it beat for beat, you know it moment for moment, and there's a level of appreciation of that. But there's fans who come from the show alone and don't know what's going to happen in the next episode, and it's really entertaining and really interesting. And if you want to show some appreciation to the game itself, the original lore, the original source material, go to my channel. There's a link in all of my Last of Us videos. I try and put a link in them all that credits you towards the 8-hour live stream of the PlayStation 5 video game, The Last of Us Part 1, where I play through the entirety of the game. It takes 8 hours to complete it when I sped run it, so I went for it pretty quick. But you guys see all the story beats that you're going to see in this show. Obviously, they add new things to the show as well, so it's not a direct spoiler comparison. You are going to get new pieces of information from just watching the show. But if you want to get that sort of second-hand appreciation, a little bit more of an understanding of the world and the characters, you can. Or people have commented down below and said that they've enjoyed watching the live stream bit by bit and then coming back and watching the episodes and watching, you know, having it as a backup. So they've seen episode 1, they've watched a little bit of the live stream, episode 2 a little bit more of the live stream, and they're kind of watching it as if it's like 2 shows side by side, which is a great accomplishment and a really nice compliment to be given. So if you want to do that, the link will be in the description. You can go and see me play The Last of Us for 8 hours on my live streams, and hopefully you'll enjoy that too. And if you like The Last of Us content, please do hit subscribe. I'm going to be doing weekly reactions to the episodes, as well as these little Easter egg breakdown things behind the scenes and stuff like that. But if you did enjoy The Last of Us content, please do hit subscribe. We're on the road to 6k subscribers, which we're so damn close to getting, so every bit of help's appreciated. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye for now. Peace.
Switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia. Darling, I'm just so fed up with what does perfect even mean?